What's up, everybody? This is Steve K here with you all with another video. And this video is going to be something which I decided to do on here. This is going to be like a review of a Baltimore Orioles season from the year of 1989. This was the season in which they entitled it Why Not? And why is it entitled Why Not? Well, the thing is because that the Orioles finished the 1988 season with like 106 losses, something like that, around that, I think. Either like 106 or 107 at least. I think it's 107. I mean, I'm pretty sure it might be. So, it was 107. 54 wins and 107 losses. And we also started the season 0-21, 0 wins and 21 losses in a row from April 4th to April 28th. Yeah. And manager Cal Ripken Sr., father of Cal Ripken Jr. and Billy Ripken, was fired after an 0-6 start and replaced by Hall of Famer Frank Robinson. But that's not the reason we're talking about that one. We're going to be talking about this one from 1989. They also called it the Comeback Kids because of the fact the Orioles are doing very well this season, 1989, that they are putting together a really good season and could possibly make the playoffs just like that after coming off a disappointing and again, very disappointing 1988 season. So here's how it pretty much went. Now, the owner at that time was Eli Jacobs, who no longer is. He is still alive. I don't know if he was or not. He was for the Orioles from 1989 to 1993. Trying to see who was the owner of them in 88 before. Edward Bennett Williams. He passed away in 88. So, all right. So let's get back to it. So here we go. And the general manager, it was Roland Heeman at that time. He no longer is with the Orioles. He was for the Orioles probably until 92 or something like that. I don't know exactly. The manager is Frank Robinson, and our television, we played on WMAR TV, which is ABC, but it's called WMAR here in Baltimore. WMAR TV, or Channel 2, just for short. Like whenever the Orioles were always on TV, and they always would say that the Orioles play on Channel 2. Yep. Sally Thorner used to work for them as well. Then she went to WJZ, which is like Channel 13 for the Baltimore area, and a bunch of other people. Yeah, so there you go. And for the radio and we also play on another channel called Home Team Sports, which is another local thing here in the Maryland area. It's called Comcast Sportsnet now. It's like mostly with the team, the Washington Wizards, and a couple other things pretty much. The Orioles just don't play on there. They have their own channel now. It's called MASN, MASN, which stands for the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. In my opinion, they should be still on Comcast Sportsnet, but with the team that's here now, the Washington Nationals, they have to play on that channel too, and we kind of share the channel with them. We got MASN and MASN 2. I think, either one of them should go back to another channel or the other way around, but that's just the way it is. And for the television, I want to say it was Jim Palmer and Brooks Robinson on there. And for HTS Home Team Sports, Rex Barney, who also was the announcer as well, like for the batters, like batting second and all that, or batting third, the shortstop, number 8, Cal Ripken, basically like that. And Mel Proctor, who was like a longtime announcer with the Orioles, like until 1996. I think he was with them probably in 85 maybe or so. I don't know exactly how long, and former Oriole John Lowenstein. And also for the radio, WBAL AM, John Miller. That's like channel 11, WBAL is. And that's like 1090 AM here in Maryland. It's John Miller, Joe Angel, who is still at the Orioles. He's still like doing it on the radio, calling and announcing, but they're on 105.7. Oh, no, I think they are on 1090 AM still. Yeah, they are. And Charlie Slows, don't know exactly that guy that much. But anyway, so here's how the offseason went. Like, we made some offseason moves as Don Ozzie, or I think that's how it's pronounced, was released by the Orioles on October 3rd, 1988. November 9th, Pete Blom from the Miners was traded by the Orioles to the Pittsburgh Pirates for Randy Milligan. November 17th, Dickie Knowles was released by the Orioles. December 4th, Eddie Murray, the Hall of Famer Eddie Murray, was traded by the Orioles to the Los Angeles Dodgers for Ken Howell, Brian Holton, and Juan Bell. Interesting that they did that. They got rid of Eddie Murray. Yeah. And then 4 days later, on December 8th, Ken Howell and Gordon Dillard were traded by the Orioles to the Philadelphia Phillies for Phil Bradley. And March 1st, 1989, Mark Huseman was signed as a free agent by the Orioles. And March 31st, 1989, repeat that again, Carl Nichols was traded by the Orioles to the Houston Astros for Dave Johnson and Victor Hithy, minor league player. So there's your moves, and now for the season. Now, the Orioles started their season at home on April 3rd, 1989, against the Boston Red Sox. The starting pitcher was Roger Clemens for the Red Sox, former Cy Young Award winner. They have this on a videotape called Orioles 89 Why Not? And it's a very good tape. It's got a lot of stuff on there, like a lot of their highlights and the games and all that. I mean, it's got really good stuff on there. I mean, if you have a VCR player or VCR and DVD player and all that, keep it if you want, or hang on to it and check out the video, like find on eBay or Amazon or Flea Market maybe. And or you can Google it too. I mean, because they have it on YouTube, I think, as well. But they have music in there, which is copyright claims, but some of them are still on there somehow. So anyway, in like the third inning, a young fella by the name of Steve Finley made his Orioles debut in the game, and he made a great catch, but collided right into the right field wall, which was a great catch, but he was injured on the play, and it put him on the disabled list for 3 weeks. So pretty much, there you go. So now later in the inning, Boston leads 3-1, and Cal Ripken comes up with 2 runners on base, and he hits a 3-run homer to make the score 4-3. And now the Orioles have the lead once again, and the Red Sox would come back and tie it, and that would take the game to extra innings. And a young fella as well named Craig Worthington, a player that just came out of nowhere pretty much. He only played for the Orioles, I think, in 88, 89, and 90, and it was traded in 91, I think. He delivered a bloop single, which scored the runner Mickey Tettleton, great Oriole catcher from 88, 89, and 90, and once again, another person traded in 91. So the Orioles get their first win, and there's no 0-21 starts this season. Thank goodness. So now with that being said, now, like I said, it shows a lot of the highlights of their games and stuff. The list goes on and on. It could take over an hour, for me to get through all these games and stuff. So I'm just going to mention just a few. I mean, they had a little bit of a slump in early May, and then they start playing the song Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee Lewis, which is pretty cool. And that's pretty much it. Then they show highlights against the Yankees at Memorial Stadium, where they used to play until 1991. And they have this game that the Orioles were doing, in which there was a heavy fog, and the outfielder Phil Bradley could not see it because it was a fly ball towards him, and it just disappeared. But the next day, the Orioles would get the win, and would get back into the win column and try and keep their lead into first place, pretty much. So they after they face the Yankees, now they head on to this, or they do this next game against the California Angels, which is one of the most memorable games, July or something like that, in which the Orioles went all the way to the ninth inning. We're down 10-9 or something like that, or whatever the score was, and Oriole outfielder Mike Devereaux came up with a runner on base. So I actually was 9-9. I'm sorry, because I remember Joe Angel saying 9-9 game, bottom of the ninth. So Mike Devereaux comes up and hits a deep fly like to left field going down the line. It looks like it's a fair ball and stuff, but they called it a fair ball pretty much. So it's a home run, and the Orioles win it 11-9. The manager of the California Angels, I don't know at that time who it was really like angry with the umpire because he thought it was a foul ball, like when it went down the line, like it like went to the left side of the pole. But of course, they don't have the thing like they have now, the instant replay thing or the challenges and all that. In my opinion, the challenges are really not all that and stuff. They're kind of boring a little bit. And there's a lot of times, when the umpires look at the call and look like, they mean let me try again. They may need to take another look at it sometimes, because there are times when the calls don't go right sometimes. But yeah, I mean, there you go. So it was still like a fly ball down the left field line. I looked at it several times before, and it definitely looked like a home run to me. And it was still a win. So then they faced the Angels again the next day, and they wound up beating them again and keeping their sole possession of first place, along with there's many other teams that were on the list, in the American League East at this time. It's only 5 of them now, but back in 1989, it was 7 of them. Yeah, 7. The Toronto Blue Jays, who are still in the division with us, the Boston Red Sox, and the New York Yankees. The other teams that are on here that are not with us anymore, the Milwaukee Brewers, who are now a National League team, the Cleveland Indians, who are now in the American League Central, and the Detroit Tigers, who are also in the American League Central. All these teams that used to be with us, and now the other teams I mentioned, the Orioles, Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Yankees. The other team now, as we know, is the Tampa Bay Rays. Yes. So, yeah, there you go. And then the Orioles wound up like getting into like a little bit of a skid pretty much, or a losing streak, like 7 in a row or something like that. And now they're heading to Boston to face the Boston Red Sox, in which the Orioles were down 6-0. And then they all of a sudden come back in the game and wind up taking lead like 7-6, and I think wound up winning that game. I could look up the schedule here because it's got the whole entire thing like right here. Yeah, so, and there was one game where the Orioles faced the Oakland Athletics on April 26, 1989, where the Orioles won 2-1 and made their record 11-9. And the other ones as well, like got the Chicago White Sox they face and the Texas Rangers at Texas. Now, the one I want to mention when they faced at Boston, it's somewhere like there's like a lot of games on here. Again, I'm not gonna like go on and on. There was one where they won in the first game against Toronto on June 27th. There was one 16-6. Big game that was, a lot of home runs and stuff. One by Randy Milligan and one by Mickey Tettleton, and one I'm sure by a bunch of others. And then the next game they won 2-1. Then they lost the third one. Then they go like into these things and stuff. And then they mention against the California Angels, in which they won, as I mentioned, 11-9. And then the next game they won again. Then, but after that, then they lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like 8 in a row until. Actually, no, they like lost 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They're like 1-12 in their last like 13 games or something like that. And they went really downhill, and then they faced the Red Sox, as I mentioned, and came back after they were down like 6-0, won 9-8. Then they faced Texas, in which this game where they won this game like in extra innings, a new acquired player for the Orioles named Keith Moreland came up and hit a ball like to right center field, and the Orioles tied it up and made it 2-2. So then now they head to extra innings, and Mike Devereaux hits a home run, which gives the Orioles the win. Then they get into the story about Dave Johnson, this pitcher that came out of nowhere. He was a high school graduate and a Middle River truck driver living in a trailer park. As I said, Middle River is an area in Maryland as well. And they showed him pitching against a team where he, I think the Minnesota Twins, and he pitched a complete game. And then he faced the Red Sox again and did it again like that, pitched a complete game. Then they faced the Detroit Tigers, and in extra innings, in the 10th inning, Craig Worthington, as I mentioned him, comes up and faces Jack Morris, in which the Orioles beat them 4-1. The next game, Bob Malacky shuts out the Tigers 2-0, and now we're back facing the Toronto Blue Jays again. And the first game with a new acquired player named Stanley Jefferson hitting a home run. And then another game on Sunday in which they wanted to keep their lead, and their record was 63-59. So the Orioles wound up winning the game 7-2 against the Blue Jays. And that's it pretty much. Then they showed another highlight with the song Running Down a Dream by Tom Petty. And now they're talking about Milwaukee because they're now in second place, as Randy Milligan says. They're all writing letters. The first one is Jeff Ballard, former Oriole lefty pitcher who had a great season in 1989, and that was it. And Cal Ripken was writing a note or a letter to Mike Flanagan, former Oriole pitcher as well. And Randy Milligan writing one too, and Steve Finley giving commentary, and Pete Harnish, another Oriole pitcher from 89 and 90, writing a letter to his mom. So the Brewers, the Orioles beat them the first one, then the second one, and the third one, and they sweep them. Then they show the steamed crabs, which are a thing here in Maryland, where if you've seen a crab before, they're pretty big in Maryland. You crack them open, get the meat out of them and stuff. They're very good. I mean, coming from a Maryland native. So now the Orioles face the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium, which one of the games Jeff Ballard pitches and strikes out Yankee legend Don Mattingly 3 times in the game, and then the Orioles win the next game by Joe Orsulak hitting a home run and someone else, and then the Orioles facing the Cleveland Indians at Cleveland, then the Chicago White Sox, more highlights of that, and then some games on here in September we're now into. The Orioles are tied up 4-4 against the Cleveland Indians, and Oriole infielder and memorable player Tim Hewlett comes up. He also is the father of Tug Hewlett, who was also a former player. I think he's retired now, but I don't know exactly. So he hits a walk-off home run, which gives the Orioles the win 5-4, and their record now is 74-64. The next game was another win in which John Miller says that he does the commentary and says it featured one of the most spectacular plays of the year. Cal Ripken is the batter and hits a home run to center field, in which the center fielder, Brad Kaminsky, something like that, who is now a coach in the Orioles organization for one of the minor league teams, jumps over the wall and catches the ball, but he falls right over the wall, just like that, and they still rule it a home run, even though that he went over the wall and stuff, but they still ruled a home run. But the next game, the Orioles wound up losing to the Cleveland Indians. They lost. What was it? It was 9-0. But as John Miller said, even in defeat, the Oriole fans witnessed a great moment as the number 1 pick for the Orioles from 1988, because of the Orioles' rough season. In the MLB draft, the Orioles drafted the number 1 overall pick, Ben McDonald, from I forgot where he went to played for. I thought I was going to say Stanford, but I think that's wrong. So he made his major league debut and threw just 1 pitch, and he got a double play for them, and that was pretty much it, even though it was still a loss, as we said. So there you go. Now the Orioles come back to Texas and face the Rangers and win a few games there. And they also faced the White Sox as well. And then we got the Royals and then the Detroit Tigers, a couple of highlights of them games. Then facing the Yankees once again, and the Orioles won a few of them. Then facing the Brewers in Milwaukee. Now here's where it's getting interesting. The Orioles are now like in the hunt. Now this is where in this time you had to like finish first place like to make it to like the playoffs or something like that pretty much. So now on the Orioles faced the Milwaukee Brewers on Monday, and the Orioles won 5-3. The Blue Jays won as well. The Orioles lost on Tuesday, and the Blue Jays lost on Tuesday. And the Orioles won on Wednesday, and the Blue Jays won Wednesday. So now it's coming down to this. The last 3 games of the 1989 season in Toronto, in which the Orioles have to win in order to like clinch the American League East. John Miller said if the Orioles like win the first game or whatever, or win 2 of them or something like that, like if the Orioles like win like if they win like the first game and then Toronto wins the second or something, and if the Orioles like win the second one, if the Orioles win 2 out of 3, there will be a tiebreaker, and the tiebreaker would be determined at Camden Yards on Monday. So the first game is September 29th against Toronto. The starting pitcher is Jeff Ballard of the Orioles, the ace of the staff, because he picked up 18 wins, and Todd Stottlemyre of the Blue Jays. So the game starts off, Phil Bradley of the Orioles, batting leadoff in left field, leads off the game with a home run on the first pitch. So the Orioles are up 1-0. Jeff Ballard pitched very well, but until he had to leave the game in like the 8th some inning and brought in new pitcher Greg Olson. Greg Olson, with his, as they say, breathtaking curveball, would wind up throwing his famous curveball, but it went into the dirt and got away from the catcher, and that scores the runner, and that makes it 1-1. Now the Orioles are trying to, get the win still, but we head into extra innings in the 10th. The Blue Jays got the hit from their outfielder Lloyd Mosby, I think, and that would be the game winner right there as the Blue Jays pick up the win. So now the Orioles have to win the next game, or it's going to be over and they're not going to clinch. But before we get to the game, Oriole right-hander Pete Harnisch, who was scheduled to start this game, was not able to make the start because he had accidentally stepped on a nail, and that would prevent him from making the start. So instead, the Orioles go to their right-hander, Dave Johnson, in which the Orioles have to win this game in order to keep the club alive in the game. So if they win like this one, then the next one, it would still be like a tiebreaker pretty much. Something like that, I think. So I got confused again. Well, I said if they win the first one, then lose the second one, then win the third one, then there'd be a tiebreaker. Yeah, so if they would have won this one, then the next one, they probably would have to play a tiebreaker, I think. So anyway, and the pitcher for the Blue Jays is Jimmy Key, former Oriole in 1996. And 1997, 98, I'm sorry, he didn't pitch for him 96. So now the Orioles are the Blue Jays actually score first in the bottom of the first and make it 1-0. But Cal Ripken comes up in the 3rd inning, I think, and he winds up hitting a double, which scores. Well, he hit like a ball down the line, and it was grabbed by a fan in foul territory. So it's somehow, I think it's ruled a double because the fan grabbed him. It was, interference. So it does score the runner and makes it 1-1. Then Randy Milligan comes up and he scores Ripken, and that makes the score now 2-1 Orioles. So now Orioles make it then 3-1, but the Blue Jays come back in the bottom of the 8th inning and score 3 runs and make the score 4-3 from Mark Williamson, who came in to relief Kevin Hickey as well, who also came in, and Dave Johnson. But the Blue Jays picked up a bunch of hits. They don't show it on the tape, but I saw the original 1989 broadcast on YouTube, as they have it on there. Um, they just show like the runners scoring and the Blue Jays is celebrating in victory. So pretty much they came in with the win 4-3. The Orioles just they show the Orioles like batting in the ninth inning, and it was Larry Sheets, the last one to bat, and he struck out on the last pitch, and that was it. And the Blue Jays clinched, and that was the end of the game. So the Orioles' miracle, as they said, was over, and there was no chance at winning this game. So the Orioles' comeback was just a little bit short as they came up once again short at beating the Blue Jays. But after that, the Orioles did face in the next game on October 1st, in which Oriole pitcher Ben McDonald pitched in relief and pitched one inning and picked up his first major league win, and that was pretty much it. And once again, they would win that game 7-5. And that's pretty much like it about the games. Then they show like the Orioles celebrating like with their fans and stuff, and having like a little parade as well, and like a little like fan fest or a little thing at the convention center here in Baltimore, like talking and saying like it was a great season stuff, and they thanked the fans very much. Yeah. And then it like ends with the song "You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings," which I think is sung by Lou Rawls, something like that. And it shows like more highlights of the Orioles and stuff, and that's just really it. So now that's pretty much the end of it, and then the credits just roll. And now for the rest of the stuff, like here, more transactions. Just to mention, Rick Shue was purchased from the Orioles by the Detroit Tigers on May 19th. June 1st, John Posey of the Miners was traded by the Orioles to the Phillies for Shane Turner. June 5th, 1989, the 1989 baseball draft. Ben McDonald was drafted by the Orioles in the first round, the first pick, signed on August 19th, 1989. Mike Alquist was drafted by the Orioles in the 13th round, player signed on June 14th, 1989. Greg Zaun was drafted by the Orioles in the 17th round, signed on August 25th. July 20th, John Habian was traded by the Orioles to the Yankees for Stan Jefferson, gotta be mentioned. And August 5th, Jamie Quirk was signed as a free agent by the Orioles. And also, Oriole catcher who played for the Orioles from 1989 to 1998, Chris Hoyles, also would make his debut as well. Didn't really see him make his debut, but he played a little bit in 1989. Yeah, and there's a lot of players on here that were big names as well. I mean, of course, Cal Ripken. He was in his seventh season or something like that with the Orioles, or maybe his ninth or eighth season with the Orioles, maybe eighth. I don't know exactly. And Curt Schilling, yes, Curt Schilling. He was an Oriole from 1988 to 1990 until he was traded. And he originally was with the Red Sox, actually, but he was traded along with Brady Anderson to the Orioles for pitcher outfielder Mike Boddicker, that guy. Remember, Oriole pitcher. And Ben McDonald, who pitched for the Orioles from 1989 to 1995 until he went to the Milwaukee Brewers. Mark Williamson, and a memorable relief pitcher for the Orioles. And a couple others too, Mickey Tettleton, as I mentioned, good catcher. Bob Melvin, who's currently the manager of the Oakland Athletics. Tim Hewlett, another guy I mentioned. Randy Milligan, good first baseman for the Orioles. Good player. Who else? Billy Ripken, Cal Ripken's brother, another guy also mentioned. Brady Anderson, outfielder from 88 to 2001. Great outfielder and great leadoff hitter, one of the best Oriole leadoff hitters. Phil Bradley, pretty good outfielder. Mike Devereaux, Steve Finley, Joe Orsolot, Larry Sheets. Yeah. Cal Ripken Sr., who was the third base coach. Elrod Hendricks, the bullpen coach. Al Jackson, the pitching coach, and that's pretty much it. And Mickey Tettleton played in 117 games, and he batted .258 though, and hit 26 home runs, which was the most for the Orioles. He was an All-Star though, and Cal Ripken as well, who played in the most games, 162, 166 hits, and he batted .257, 21 home runs, but 93 RBIs, the most for the team. Phil Bradley did pretty well, and Billy Ripken did all right as well, and Randy Milligan too. For the pitching, like Bob Milacki pitched 37 games. Now the limit is like 35, pretty much what they do. He was 14-12 with a 3.74 ERA, which is not bad, and 113 strikeouts. Jeff Ballard, who pitched in 35 games, was 18-8, not an all-star. He only had 62 strikeouts. Yes, only 62. He was not really a strikeout pitcher. Pete Harnish, who was 5-9. Jose Bautista, not that Jose Bautista, the other one. This guy who was like a pitcher with the Orioles and I think somebody else. Dave Johnson, who was 4-7, did all right. Kurt Schilling was 0-1, ERA was 6.23 though, and Dave Schmidt, who was 10-13, but ERA was 5.69, not all that great. Greg Olson, who was named the Rookie of the Year actually for the American League. He was 5-2 with 27 saves and 90 strikeouts and a 1.69 ERA. Mark Williamson, 10-5, a 2.93 ERA. Frank Robinson was named the Associated Press Manager of the Year and the American League Manager of the Year. Greg Olson, again, the Rookie of the Year, and Cal Ripken in the MLB All-Star Game, but they don't mention Mickey Tettleton because he was in it too. That's pretty much it now. And also the minor leagues, like the Rochester Red Wings, who aren't with us. The Hagerstown Suns, not with us either. Yeah, they are a minor league team, but they're with the Washington Nationals now. They're with the Orioles from 82 to 92. Yeah. The Rochester Red Wings, I think they still should be with us, but we're now the Norfolk Tides. And the Frederick Keys, I think, who are still with the Orioles. The Erie Orioles, but that's not like with us anymore. It was with the Orioles in 1988. That's pretty much it. And the Bluefield Orioles, who are now with the Blue Jays. And that's pretty much it. Now, like I said, this was a really good season. I mean, it was one of the most memorable seasons of 1989. Again, it was called Why Not? Like they had this little song, like all the fans going, Why Not? And like a band singing it and stuff pretty much. And yeah, I mean, it's on like VHS, as I said. If they probably would put on DVD, and they also have it on YouTube. Just Google it, Orioles 89, Why Not? And like, if you're an Orioles fan, all that, I mean, you'll definitely like it. It's got just so much highlights and stuff, and it's just one of the most memorable seasons. Yeah. But really wish that they would have made the playoffs, but still, it was a great season, a lot of great moments, and the tape is very good. Like I said, I just highly recommend it. Yep, so that's probably going to wrap it up for this review here, the 1989 Orioles, Baltimore Orioles Why Not season. I hope you all enjoyed this review. Like, comment, and subscribe, and you all take care. Thank you for watching.